Hello, this is Malorian, and it's the Orc Tactical Team. And man, I got a whole bunch of requests for videos. I've even lost track of them now. So I'm going to go straight to one that I got recently that I think is pretty interesting. And so before we had touched on one of the special characters, and so now we're going to talk about one of the other special characters for Orcs and Goblins, and it's going to be Azhag the Slaughterer. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a model for this guy to show it off or anything. He has various versions, and the newest one looks pretty cool if you ask me. But anyway, this guy has gotten quite a bit more interesting in the new book. For those who didn't know before, he got some, he was like a level 2 for Lore of Death. He suffered from stupidity, and being the had to be your general, he usually just kind of died and bad stuff happened. So he was kind of like a for fun character that was very expensive. Well, now he has a few more little goodies that's making him a lot more appealing. And some of the things is that for starters, he's a level 3 in death. So, he's a little bit more powerful, gets more spells. And another thing he has going for him is that he has the ability to deal with animosity better. So before it used to be a thing like within 6 inches he'd have some control. Well, now it's anyone within his inspiring presence. So that's an 18-inch bubble all around him that anyone that fails an animosity, you get to re-roll it. So first of all, you got this great character as somebody that has this 18-inch range all around for his leadership, and then as well they can get to re-roll the animosity as well. So if you're somebody that has a lot of problems with those, you don't want to pay all the points for black orcs, he could be your guy. Now here's the big problem. I already mentioned that the problem with him before was that he had to be your general. And the nice thing about 8th is that now you can have multiple lords, and there's no reason why this guy has to be your general. So if you do play against a lot of dwarves and empire and you're worried about cannons killing this guy, well then that's maybe not so bad. You can have somebody else that's your general, send this guy out, and whatever happens to him, whatever. Well, the problem is that if his animosity is based off of his inspiring presence range, and he's not the general, he doesn't have inspiring presence. And yeah, that means that effect is completely useless. So you almost have to make this guy your general. So I think really when it comes down to wondering whether you should be taking this guy or not, the question is what's your metagame? If you're a person that sees lots of cannons, for God's sake, stay away from this guy. He's just not worth it. However, if you are a person that sees very little war machines, go for it. I mean, he doesn't have the best armor. While he's mounted, he's going to have a 4+ save and a 5+ ward. So, if he has arrows coming his way, it's mainly going to be his toughness 5 that's going to be keeping the most of it away. But, yeah, he's actually not that bad. Now, the other thing, too, is that he's a lot more, he's a lot better in combat now. And of course that really just comes from the fact that the wyverns are better with the whole thunderstomp. So when they charge into there, he has his slashes, so he's going to be getting 5 attacks, re-rolling to hit. He's going to be strength 6 in the first round, doing tons of damage, and then of course he has his silly little wyvern with 3 attacks, but then the thunderstomp at strength 6. Now of course in 8th, your big problem is going to be with steadfast. He's going to go in there, there's going to be, sure you win combat, but it doesn't matter. Well, so what that means is you're going to need to combine this guy with the rest of your forces. And really, you got some really great synergy here. Because if you have a wyvern rider that needs to wait for support, well, he might as well have something to do while he's doing that. Well, what does Azhag have to do? Well, he's a level 3 Lore of Death. So he can be in your first couple of turns, maybe going off more to a flank or something, trying to blast some of the characters, and really you almost don't even have to be working around the flanks. I would almost be tempted, depending what you're up against, just to kind of throw this guy up, just to make sure you're within range for your death spells, and then start blasting them. If they charge you, you're going to win combat anyway, unless you roll like crap, and then your turn you can counter. And so really what you're going to be seeing with this is just, you're going to need a bus with him, right? So wherever you have him, you're going to need a big long line of night goblins. Ram them in there and destroy. Other thing you want to have in there just for sure is you're going to need to make sure he's always going to stay within that range of the BSB, because just like he suffered from stupidity last edition, he suffers from stupidity again, but at least in this edition you can keep him safe. And so really that's as simple as this interesting character goes. The main thing is, if you want to include him, first of all, look at your metagame. If you are going to be making him your general, well then that's great. You have a lot of utility there with his 18-inch general, his 18-inch quelling animosity and all that stuff, making them re-roll, and then being able to snipe things out with your death spells, and then of course you can always combine it with your good old night goblins to make sure the one takes away steadfast, the one makes sure you win. Now, I would also say that he would be okay if you don't take him as a general, but at the same time, I guess if you're going to be doing this, there's a lot better other wyvern characters you can just make on your own, that there's no need to take him, this special character, if you weren't going to make him your general. So it really just comes down to how much risking you wanting to take about whether there might be a cannon or not. And of course, please remember that with the large target, you don't need to worry about the +1 anymore, but you can hide behind obstacles, and if a cannon hits that obstacle first, it destroys the obstacle and stops. So depending how the board is set up, you might be able to hop and skip to some places, or be setting up in some areas where it will be safer. So that's it. That's Azhag the Slaughterer. Give him a try. Thanks for watching. Bye.